Kamusta everyone, I'm Sis, and Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition can be a very complex game. And while I do have a video talking about Divinity Original Sin in a beginner style format, there are certain people who are looking for more than just that. Hydrosophist is a skill line focused on freezing enemies, halting movement, and healing allies. These heals also damages undead enemies as a result, and as such, Hydrosophist should be your main skill line if you want to roleplay as a paladin, healer, or just simply an ice mage. Being a mage solely focused on ice is highly not recommended, as you would want to mix and match different skill lines, but you can do it if you want to. It'll make the game incredibly harder for you though, so keep that in mind. Hydrosophist spells are usually used in conjunction with your aerotheurge spells, and as such, I highly recommend spending points on the aerotheurge skill line to get the most appropriate results. There's already a specific companion named Jahan, whom already has both the skill lines, so if you want to do this build in mind, I humbly ask that you pick him to avoid having two characters start off with the same skills. And so, as promised, here's how to play Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition Hydrosophist Guide. Hydrosophist is a skill line all about water magic. These skills are focused on water production, crowd control, debuffs, and an exceptional amount of healing. Like I said, it's usually best used with the aerotheurge skill line, as most stuns and damage skills present in the aerotheurge line blends and combines well with it. Specifically, Rain, a skill found in this tree. If you want to focus on crowd controlling enemies, weakening them, and at the same time perma healing everyone in sight, the Hydrosophist skill line would be the most effective way to go. Skills, unlike talents, can be acquired by reading the appropriate skill book with the same name and can be forgotten if need be. All of them are useful when used in the right circumstance, and it's one of the many ways that will set your character apart from each other. There are 16 Hydrosophist skills available in the game, and it's best that you think about this carefully before teaching them into your character. This is because at max ability level, you'll only be able to obtain 6 Novice Skills, 4 Adept Skills, and 2 Master Skills. It's a weird limitation, but just enough to give it a sense of carefulness. And in true how to play style, I'll be going over them one by one, starting with the name, what it does, and what I think about it. Let's begin. Avatar of Frost makes a target immune to being frozen. Any melee characters who attacks a character with this buff have a chance of being frozen as a result. Since you can take 6 Novice Skills and there's only 5 available in the skill line, there's not really a reason not to get it. This obviously makes the target immune to being frozen. Use this when you encounter water type enemies. Freezing Touch freezes a nearby target, dealing water damage. Every crowd control in the game matters, and even though this is basically shocking touch but with water, like I said, there's not really a reason not to get it, as there's only 5 available in this line. Use it when you get up close to enemies. It does decent damage, but the freezing portion of the skill is really what you want. Rain. This is probably one of the most, if not the most useful skill in this line. This will, as the name suggests, will make it rain, getting rid of fire and removing and replacing surfaces with water. This will also set up the battlefield perfectly for more Hydrosophist freezing spells and aerotheurge stunning spells. If you're gonna start a fight with something, do it with Rain. Regeneration heals an ally for 3 turns. This will be your main healing ability, and interestingly enough, there's no passive healing in the game, so this skill is a good addition to your build just so you can heal your teammates while out of combat. This also damages undead enemies and will remain useful until the very end of the game. Slow Current slows a target. It slows a target enemy, causing it to consume more action points when moving. It's a useful skill on melee opponents, making sure they use up all their action points before they can even get close to you. Jesus Christ, I'm losing my voice. What? Next is the Adept Hydrosophist skill line. You can only get 4 out of the 7 it has to offer. All of them are useful, but it will depend on you which one you want to leave out. Cleansing Water cures blind, mute, deceased, infected, bleeding, crippled, and decaying touch. That is a lot of debuffs being removed by one skill, which is good to have available. This works well with the Winds of Change, which cures petrified, slowed, and stunned. If you want the most removal skills for your build, this would be a perfect addition. Ice Wall creates a wall of ice to block enemies or lock them inside. deals water damage. This is one of my favorite skills to use. It gives you just enough time to catch your breath, it freezes enemies inside, deals damage, and it also protects you from further range damage as it blocks those as well. It's a good all-around skill to have as it does multiple things reasonably well, just for 5 action points. Ice Shard shoots a shard of ice that deals water damage. This will most definitely do a lot of damage, depending on your intelligence, and will cause enemies to freeze immediately, assuming they have the wet status effect. Great for what it is, I use it all the time, and is highly recommended. Mass Slow slows enemies around you. It's slow, but for multiple people. Take note that this only affects enemies, so you don't really have to worry about friendly fire in the game. It is useful, I didn't really use it that much, but it can be a game changer when it comes to full-on melee enemies. Summon Ice Elemental summons an Ice Elemental. I don't know what you guys expected. It does deal decent damage and it's good cannon fodder for enemies. It can also use Ice Shard for freezing multiple enemies if you wish, and it is all around a decent skill. But not as good as the other ones provided in the Adept line. If you want to be a summoner, obviously you're gonna want this, but this kinda depends on you as you can only have one summon up at a time. It's nice to have when you have to fight multiple fire enemies since it's gonna be more or less an easier fight. Not as useful when you're up against ice ones, cause, you know, ice. Water Absorption Shield enchants self or ally with a water shield. The water shield absorbs water damage until it breaks. This is your standard absorption shield. Every skill line has one, and much like the other ones, it only shields you with its corresponding element type. This being water. Very situational, but it is useful when the need arises. But really, there's much more better skills. Water of Life. You and allies around you magically gain constitution and heal immensely. Just by the description, you know that this is a great skill. It buffs your constitution, giving you more max health and heals you afterwards. It's a super nice skill to have when you're low on health, and it can save you multiple times when playing on Tactician difficulty. If there's one skill you're gonna want in the Adept line, this would be it. Next is Master Skills. This is a big one. They are game-changing powerful skills and you can take 2 out of the 4 available. This is gonna be a bit difficult for Frost Mages as all of the skills are very good and none of them is really weaker or useless than the other. There's not really any wrong choices here. Pick the ones that goes well with your build. Hail Attack rains 20 ice shards from the sky, each doing water damage to entities within range. It's an AoE skill. Much like Storm, this will affect and damage everything inside the AoE. Each one inside, whether enemy or not, will for sure get frozen and will cause a massive amount of damage while doing so. If they don't die from the skill, being frozen in time afterwards will. Oh, that rhymed. Mass Disease. Disease all enemies within an area. Disease is a unique debuff that reduces constitution by -3 and bodybuilding by -2. Basically, it makes your enemies, and only your enemies, max health lower and will make them more susceptible to crowd control. It's the debuff you use if you want fights to end considerably faster, which you should. Mass Healing. Heal all within an area for 7 turns. This is the same thing as Mass Disease, but instead of debuffing enemies, it's healing allies. It's extremely potent and can keep you alive for 7 turns as long as you're buffed up enough. Like I said, everything in the Master skill line is super good. There's not really a reason not to get any of these skills. Take the ones that is appropriate for your build. Winter Blast. Freeze and deal water damage to all targets in a 60-degree cone. The cone itself is not that long, but it is wide enough to get everyone that is inside it. And by everyone, I really do mean everyone, allies included. Frozen characters will take a while before being unfrozen, and it is, much like every other skill in the skill line, is a crowd control. Mostly. Now, I know what you're thinking, should I get Hail Attack or Winter Blast? As they're mostly, if not just AoE damage based skills, and you're absolutely correct. To be honest, I don't know. They're both great in their own right, although I'm more leaning into Hail Attack mostly because it's a target AoE with more range. Although with the right positioning, Winter Blast can technically crowd control more people, so I don't know. I think it kind of depends on you, to be honest. They're both really nice skills to have. Kamusta everyone, I'm Sis, and I just want to thank everyone who's been watching these new videos. I don't know why I never thought about doing them, but yeah, it's really good. It's a really good game, and I've checked the comments, and yes, I will do every single skill line, along with some basic guides connected to the game, but not necessarily connected to skills. I have maybe 10 or 12 videos in mind, and it's gonna be a great month, and I hope you enjoy them as we go. Next video is about the complete opposite of Hydrosophist, and that's pyromancy. Like the video if you don't dislike it, and dislike if you don't like it, share it with your friends, and if you do like it, consider subscribing to the Phantom Heart for more, and click on that notification bell to be reminded of my future videos. I'm Sis, and thank you for watching.